Hey guys, welcome to the GM's Table. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody to like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. If you want to support the channel more than that, it'll scroll over here. Those who already have are right here. And the link's in the doobly-doo. Check out our Patreon. There you'll get videos early, get access to PDFs, get access to books, get access to my GM notes. There's the link. Anyways, moving on from that, we're on part 3 of our week of villainy, where I've been doing videos about how to keep villains from being destroyed, or more or less how to create reoccurring villains in different systems. So today, we're hitting up old school. We're going to basic fantasy, and I've yet to record my 5th edition one, even though it's my first. I'm going in reverse order because I'm crazy. But this is going to be kind of similar to 5th edition, but I want to talk about the specific spells. Right there. You can't read them yet, because I'm going to read them to you. That are in 5th, that without making anything up, you can make sure your villain survives to wreak havoc another time. We're going to start with the obvious ones, then go to the more clever ones. So, our first 2 most obvious, I'll say 3, because 2 of them are the same, just better. One's better than the other, depending on caster level. And one's a different spell. But our 2 most obvious spells is just getting out of there. You got Dimension Door and Teleport. So if they're in a bind, they just teleport somewhere else, and then book it. Real simple. The other one, similar, however, the party may have means to follow them much easier, and that is Fly. Fly is great for a villain to get away low level. However, once the party has Fly, it then becomes a chase scene. So be prepared for that. It's a good first time to get away. And they're like, oh yeah, people can just fly away. That's tricky. The next, again, this is exclusively for low levels, for levels 1 to 3. Sleep. Never underestimate a villain who has sleep. Yes, some players may survive, but all the villain needs is like 1 henchman that's 4 hit dice or better to make sure he does cleanup, like an ogre or something. He goes, boom, sleep. Your fighters, anyone with a crap spell save, is probably going down immediately. Sleep will get villains out of a bind, but it only works in levels 1 to 3. Once they're level 4, once they have 4 hit dice, sleep just doesn't affect them at all. No save, no nothing, they're just fine. Other than that, we have the real basic one, invisibility, similar to teleport. In fact, a clever wizard, or evil wizard, may make it look like they're teleporting and actually go invisible. And finally, this one, I think I've only seen it, at least in the games I run, I think it was in actual basic edition as well. But in basic fantasy, this is not in 5th, this is not in Savage Worlds, protection from normal missiles. If the party doesn't have magic weapons yet, this is great. Now, it doesn't protect them from swords, but you combine protection from normal missiles with Fly, they fly away, fun, I'm going to fire arrows at him. None of the arrows hit him. What do you mean? He has protection from normal missiles. Anything that goes, whoom, it's not going to touch him. Now, him flying away is way worse. You have to chase him, or maybe cast a ranged spell if you have someone in the party that can do it. Those are our obvious ones. Those are the ones you were probably expecting. Now, the next one is, I'm going to bring it up now because, again, it's one of the more obvious ones. Raise Dead. Anything that brings the dead back to life. Have your villains have friends with an evil cleric. And this villain could be anything. They don't have to be their own caster. They just have to know someone who can do it. Let the villain die. And then get resurrected. And let him buy his time as his negative levels wear off. And let him just get pissed. Now he's angry he was killed. He had to probably spend the resources to be raised. It gets even more personal. And he's back. He's like, well, we killed him. Yeah, you're in a fantasy world. Just like when you guys die, if you have the resources and stuff, you can come back. So can he. You gotta find a way to make sure he stays down now. I will say, Raise Dead honestly works once or twice. After that, it's not a shock. It's more they're seeing killing him as slowing him down. Now we're going to go into some slightly different territory. I had anti-magic shell, but anti-magic shell is more like a defense in combat. It falls under the protection from normal missiles. I will also say this isn't every spell in the book. There's ones I say they're really good for villains to get away. Not in combat. You're not seeing Fireball. You're not seeing Lightning Bolt. However, Charm. Typically, Charm person. Because here's the thing. You charm an actor, and you convince them it's in their best interest to perform as the villain, and you got duplicates. You charm a dumb actor, you got a duplicate for at least a month. You can con people into being your stand-ins. That's very important, okay? Yes, you could also probably con mercenaries and already, like, warrior-ish people into being your goons. But they're also, your players are going to look and be like, oh, well, they're mercenaries anyways, or they're bandits anyways. There's not a lot of qualms. Yes, you could charm townspeople into doing this. However, charm doesn't have people do what they wouldn't normally do. So you have your limits. But never underestimate charming an actor. Being able to have people who are already skilled at portraying others, convinced it's in their best interest to portray you, you never know who the real one is. That's very, very useful. The next one is Death Spell. Why is Death Spell on here? It kills a number of people. Death Spell is in here because when you combine it with the single-use magic item rules, you have a magic bomb. You can have the evil sorcerer in a bind and then reveal that their town nearby has an item enchanted with a death spell with a trigger to go down at sundown. That you can kill me, but everyone at your home dies. That is villainous, and that is powerful. That's one of those I don't think a lot of people would think off the bat, especially if you're a newer GM. Do things like that. Don't just look at how these spells can be cast by the villain. Look at how the villain can put them in items. Death spell in an item that goes off on its own, or if he's one who has loyal minions. In fact, death spell plus charm. You can just convince the minion that they have to go with this rod in town and at a given time say this word. They don't know what saying that word does, so it doesn't go against their nature. And they're not going to ask, especially if you get the right kind of person. You have to have a very inquisitive person be like, why would I do that? When they're charmed. That is powerful. Additionally, because of the rules of how those items work, it can really be kind of anything. You can make a villain who is terrifying because he simply keeps doing this with random items. He will create innocuous items that say at sundown, or make them even worse, like on a full moon or during a lunar eclipse or something very rare, so you don't know when. You would know when, but like he can be far away. It gives it longer timers for rare events. All of a sudden, you have bombs that when they blow up, they don't look like they blew up. You gotta start using detect magic. You gotta start doing that's a whole villainous adventure idea right there. But him revealing it and going, if you let me live, I'll give you the command word to turn it off. That kind of villain is powerful. And he's powerful in a different way because technically he didn't even have to make the item. He could have gone to a different wizard, maybe an ally, maybe someone he just paid to make that item. He just has it. And he's evil enough to use it. That's special. Anyways, moving on from that, back to the ones that are specifically for getting away. Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is for getting away, because seeing the heroes coming means you can get out of there before they even arrive. Clairvoyance and divination magic is a villain's best friend. Knowing what the hero's plans are, knowing when they're coming, and knowing where they are, all give the villain an upper hand and can make sure he is never there unless he chose to be there. Okay, that's actually a really good way until you have that confrontation with the villain. Or even if you had that villain that died, maybe he confronted him the first time, got killed. We go to the raised dead route, and now he keeps using clairvoyance. Maybe it's not even from him. Maybe he has a seer with him who's under his employ, who's constantly like looking out for this stuff. So he can start playing against them, but make sure they never see him. So you can start building up rumors of, well, wait, no, he's dead. These are old rumors. But no, he was here. He was doing things. And then if they never see him, you can start laying the seeds of, did he have all this planned already? Is this plans before he died? It's going into motion? Or did he come back? Is he back somehow? Do we know? How can we figure this out? But we can never get to him. Clairvoyance and the ability to stay one step ahead is the villain's greatest ability to stay alive. And it is the GM's greatest ability, because with clairvoyance you can go, the fact that I'm at the table and I'm hearing all this doesn't break the game. He's using clairvoyance. He can see this. Now, there are ways around this. Once the party is aware of it, they can start getting like amulets of proof against detection and stuff like that. Things to block spells like clairvoyance. But until they figure that out, it's a big advantage. ESP, similar. It's not as good as clairvoyance. However, ESP, the ability to read the surface thoughts of people you look at, means once they're face to face with the villain, he can still know your tactics. He can know what your plan was and adjust. That's big. It also means he can figure out what you want and what you care about and use that for bargaining chips or for manipulation. Remember, villains don't play fair. So don't underestimate, again, it's kind of in that clairvoyance magic, but don't underestimate ESP either. A lot of my villains that I want that the players really hate tend to have ESP. And they won't even know it at first. But they'll use that. And they'll use like spying on somebody, maybe put ESP in an item and give it to his spies so the spies can read thoughts without them realizing it. In a tavern, you just need a villain to have one spy with a rod of ESP or a coin of ESP where he like twirls it in his fingers to activate it. And all of a sudden, there's a guy in the tavern twirling a coin in his fingers looking at you from a distance. After about 5 minutes, he goes away. He was a spy reading your thoughts. He doesn't need to eavesdrop on your conversation. He knows what you're thinking. Again, there's power in that. Alright, I'm skipping around because I want to go with some of the trickier ones later. Phantasmal Force. Illusionary duplicates are massive. Phantasmal Force I actually overlooked for a long time in Basic Fantasy because of the name. I thought it was some kind of assault or something. It's an illusion plus the sound. It's like everything you need to create an image. Yeah, there is a range penalty. Maybe the villain went in hiding and it's an illusion. Maybe I've had villains do this. I've had villains do this after they've already... Or no, they didn't defeat the villain. But if you saw the very first adventures we ran for Basic Fantasy, I had a villain who literally put Phantasmal Force on magical coins that dropped into projectors so that he basically pre-recorded himself in rooms of the house with these illusions so people would think he's there and would stay at a distance, tell people to come into other rooms, and in the next room he had another, and they were set up with mechanics as well with tripwires to drop the coin in, which would activate the coin to do other things. And it would basically, they came into the keep, and in the distance, coming into the room, because it's an illusion, you can do stuff, coming into the room from a back door is the Duke. And he's like, oh yes, I've been waiting for you. He makes sure to speak not in specific, so it works for multiple people. Before we get started, here, come join me. I was about to have a meal. And you see him walk away into where the dining room was. The illusion disappeared in the other room, but it's far enough away. They don't know, so by the time they get into the dining room, another one's triggered where it's him at the table with a table full of food. Even the food is illusory, because there's also a poison gas trap in that dining room. So they come in, and when they sit at the tables, the poison gas knocks them all out. He was never there. Illusions, just like charming people and duplicates, can be your best friend. It's ways to have the villain here without him actually being here. And if he's not physically there, they can't kill him yet. Similar to that, this is kind of a combination of duplicates plus Raised Dead, Magic Jar. I love Magic Jar in Basic Fantasy. It's basically going, I kind of want to be a lich. Magic Jar does that. But the cool thing is, the Magic Jar lets them go and take over other bodies afterwards. And this creates a very creepy thing, and that's why I'm going to bring up Reincarnation as well. might have a whole discussion about how reincarnation may be better than raised dead, but it falls under a lot of magic jar of now you don't know who the villain is. The villain has now become a thought that infests into others and controls them. And when it gets close, he leaves and goes to another body, and leaves and goes to another body. That is a whole other world of a villain. Reincarnation is similar. Because here's the thing. With reincarnation, the villain dies and the villain's resurrected in a new body. He knows he's in a new body. If he's specifically going after the party, he will use that. You don't know the villain's face anymore. That is very, very powerful. He can track you. He can keep up with you. He can keep tabs on you without spies. If he's lost everything, reincarnation still lets him have more or less the effect of spies for a while. And it's like, oh, this is a new villain. No, it's the same villain. He just got reincarnated into a new race. That can be cool. Now, we're getting into... Yep. We're down to 2. The last one, polymorph self. It's similar to flying stuff, but polymorph self, if you can do it before they're in there, they need to figure out that the villain's been polymorphed. That rat that's running away is the villain. Or it can be for great big boss fights like a dragon. A dragon's a great thing to polymorph into if you have enough hit die. Because it's big, it's tough, you can have the fight, and if it still goes sideways, dragons fly. You'll just fly the F away. You don't need a fly spell, you're a dragon. And finally, the one I didn't think of till I was reading through this, and I actually really love, if I have players watching this, crap, because you guys are probably about to get something spoiled for you down the line, but I'm going to hold on to it for a while. Flesh to stone. Not on others. If you have a villain who has minions, he just needs a minion that has an item he already made of stone to flesh, or anti-magic, or dispel, or anything like that. Anything within the rods. The safest is have him have a stone to flesh spell. You know they're coming, because you gave your villain clairvoyance. He has an empty pedestal in his lair, where he can put himself in a heroic pose, a mighty pose, a statuesque pose, and turn himself into the statue. You won't be aware. It's a very much a panic button move, but all of a sudden, the villain got away. He's in the room with them. He can't do anything. Again, that's why it's a last resort move. How did he keep getting away? He didn't. Once you guys left, a lackey came in and activated the magic item that turns him back to normal. It's a cowardly villain move. I like cowardly villains. Definitely think about that one. Think about Stone to Flesh. It's going to become a personal favorite. I can't wait to try it because I think that could be a really cool one. It's also, when you talk about villains who are seeking immortality, maybe they're like, well, but we know his plan's going to take, like, his plan can't happen till the next solar eclipse. That's 5 years from now. We have plenty of time to find him. It turns out the room where you found out about his plans in his chambers when you were so close to getting him, he's the statue there. And a week before the solar eclipse, he has a minion already hired and trained to come in here and turn him back. So to him, he didn't even have to wait. They're searching the countryside for someone who isn't there. Think about that. Anyways, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye. If you like that video, check out another video over here. Whatever it is, it's probably pretty good. Don't forget to like, share so other people can find the channel, and subscribe right up there. YouTube now won't let me put a link to the Patreon, but there is a link down in the description below. So if you want to help support the channel, check that out, and I will catch you guys next time.